Yeah. Here we go. Aswand Cruickshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving you a perspective on teamwork that you will not get anywhere else. My goodness, some kind of defensive football that we watched this weekend. All right, there were tons of plays. I mean, as much as I hate the Dallas Cowboys, I got to give Mr. Micah Parsons his props. That dude is a motherfucking baller. I mean, going from front down, hand in the dirt, rushing, the playing linebacker. I mean, that is essentially what every single defensive player should be striving to be between him, Bosa, Lawrence for the Cowboys. I mean, we watched some defensive football. Two plays in particular that really stuck out and I want to discuss with you guys today. The first was the Buffalo game. I believe it was Milano, who's the middle linebacker. Joe Burrow throws what would have been a touchdown pass to Jamar Chase. And because Milano, as a middle linebacker, because he is continuing to play the ball, he didn't give up on the play, he swipes at it, he makes it so he drops the ball and things like that. And that, as linebackers, I remember being taught as a player and coaching linebackers and being around the position is very special to me. Understanding that, yes, we're run players first, but that does not mean we get to abandon and just give up on the play when we recognize that it's a pass. So that was a very important thing that I hope all you young linebackers out there paid attention to. Also, the safety from the Niners. I don't remember his name, but I remember there was a sack on Dak Prescott in which he blitzed them, and he studied enough, he knew enough to where he wasn't thinking. He knew the snap count, and he goes, I believe it was either through the A gap or the B gap, completely unblocked. All right, completely unblocked, makes a great play, and that really, really, really changed kind of the complexion of the game. All right, understand, just those games, those two games, between the Bills game and the Niners game, with all the snow, between the snow, the fact that it was in Buffalo, and the fact that, the Niners had those red jerseys on, really took me back to some of these Stony Brook days. And I got to give you another Stony Brook memory, all right? I know I give you guys a lot on this show, but this is very important for all my young defensive backs, whether you're a defensive back, whether you're a linebacker, wherever you are. If you're playing on that side of the ball in which you got to be an athlete, you got to be an absolute dog, you got to understand the more things you can do, the more valuable you are to your team. I'll give you an example, because nowadays, a lot of us know the name Dominic Reyes, right? A lot of us know the name Dominic Reyes because he's famous. He's Mr. UFC. He's doing his thing. But before there was a Dominic Reyes, there was a guy named Aaron West. Aaron West, it was his and mine ended up not only being my last year, but his last year playing football is also Coach Gush's last year at Stony Brook. And matter of fact, what I'm thinking about is Coach Trick, who was the linebackers coach back then. This ended up being his last season as a Stony Brook Seawolf, as a Stony Brook Seawolf as well. So let me just take you back. It was the first game. We're playing South Florida, the University of South Florida Bulls, all right? And just so you guys know, that season we had brought in 3 young studs at linebacker. It was Jawara Dudley, Reggie Franklin, and then Grant now Washington or something like that. I can't pronounce his last name, but all 3 of them were young studs. And what happened was Reggie ended up starting, and the plan was to redshirt Jawara and redshirt Grant. First game, Reggie goes down with a season-ending injury, right? Reggie goes down with a season-ending injury, and they're forced to burn Grant and Jawara's red shirt. But they were still very short at linebacker, right? This was the year in which we lost Tyler the legend Tyler Santucci. We lost him to graduation, and there was a big hole in terms of that linebacker unit. So what happened was they moved Aaron West from strong safety and put him at outside linebacker, and he played the majority of the game as an outside linebacker. And I remember Coach P making the point the next day when he was giving out the defensive player of the week awards, offensive player of the week awards, all that stuff. He says Aaron West, the defensive player of the week, tried playing 95% of the game at a different position. All right, and that's the point I want to get you guys to. Listen, I grew up watching Sean Taylors, the Ed Reeds, the Ray Lewises. This is these hybrid type of defensive players that can play multiple positions. And when you are out there, we're in that season now where it's 7-on-7, you're training, you're trying to get yourself ready for next season. Understand, the more things you can do, meaning if you are a linebacker, get with your DBs, get with your DB coach, figure out how to figure out how to get your footwork right. Make sure you can play one-on-ones, the whole thing. It's very, very important, because the reason I am not playing in the NFL, the reason I didn't even, I made the travel squad because they actually moved me because of Jawara and because of Grant and Reggie. They moved not only myself, they moved me, they moved Matt, they moved Steven Swicky, they moved Chris Fenelon. All four of us were on defense before Jawara and Grant got there and Reggie got there, and then all four of us ended up playing offense. And I don't care what nobody says, I truly believe it's because they knew they had these young studs coming in. Understand, if you're a defensive player and you can't play multiple positions, you can't get out there and lock up one-on-one. If you can't go out there and guard slots as a linebacker, or if you're a strong safety and you can't come up and play the run, you will be on the chopping block. You will be replaced. Understand that, all right? And take that into consideration as you're training this offseason, all right? Speaking of, makeyourmove.com. That's makeymove.com. It's a one-stop shop for all your teamwork and self-development needs. Make sure you check it out. That's where you can listen to my podcast as well. I dive deeper into all these kinds of topics. It's makeyourmove.com. That's makeymove.com. Aswand Cruickshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.